What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Capturing the Game podcast. I'm your host, Luke Rule, former videographer for the Baltimore Orioles and now current videographer for the Kansas City Royals. And today we're going to be talking to Burjek, who's a graphic designer for the Orioles. RJ's a great guy, former roommate of mine, former coworker of mine, and you're going to learn a lot from this episode. He gave a lot of good insight and a lot of good advice. And so you're going to learn what it's like to be a graphic designer for a professional sports team, kind of some of the things that you might not expect a graphic designer to do, and just a lot of tips and tricks on how to land that job. And as you can see, I'm not in the podcast studio today. That is kind of being renovated at the moment. So I'm at my office setup. And so, yeah, I'm excited for this episode. Excited for you guys to check it out. And here's the episode. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate you doing this. I interviewed Connor a couple of weeks ago, and so that was fun to catch up with him and what he's
Mm.
been doing. Um, Yeah, so I guess just to start, you just want to tell a little about yourself, your journey, like as a graphic designer, kind of how you started, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, absolutely. First off, thanks for having me. It's a cool opportunity, a lot of fun. Good to catch up. But yeah, a little bit about myself. So currently graphic designer. I'm RJ, graphic designer for the Baltimore Orioles. Um, I started out this season, so began remotely in February, and then came out here around mid-May. Have been here since. Started out as an intern, um, got brought on full time. In terms of before that, I'm from originally right outside Chicago. Grew up in Illinois, went to school, University of Illinois down in Champaign. Graduated from there last May. Originally not as a design student. I actually didn't go to school for graphic design. I went to school for math and statistics. Ended up getting my degree in statistics, but graphic design is just something I did off to the side for fun. I originally started out just again kind of doing graphics and making little things on Photoshop for fun back my freshman year of college, and then began working for the disc golf club there. Just another fun thing I did on the side, and with that, I was able to get an internship with the athletic program there, the athletic department, and then the football team as well. So my junior and senior years, um, worked on graphics for Illinois sports, and then coming out of college, applied for a gig with the Orioles here, and have been here since. So it's been a lot of
Yeah.
fun, been a fun journey, and yeah.
I didn't realize that you didn't start graphics until your freshman year of college. That's kind of crazy. So you kind of
But
yeah. So I guess what
yeah,
was it like kind of fast tracking from like starting your 4 years, like people don't realize 4 years is not a long time for like
no.
creative stuff at all.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's definitely like I didn't even work in like Photoshop. Like the first time I ever touched any Adobe program was my freshman year of college, just because I barely even knew what they were in
Yeah.
high school, and obviously didn't have a subscription. Bit pricey for a high school student to have the entire
Yeah.
Adobe suite. But I remember like my senior year of high school. My good buddy and I, we started a disc golf club there. I was big on disc golf. I need to get back into it. It's a fun time. But we started a club because I was right around COVID, and we are like, we have
Uh-huh.
nothing to do. All the sports are out. So I went in like one of the free online like Photoshop type programs, and I literally like hand drew a logo like on my trackpad. I like found a like an image of like our high school logo and things like that, and like some disc golf imagery, and basically traced out a logo, put it on a shirt, and we sold a bunch of shirts,
That's sick.
which was really cool and it was a lot of fun. But that's how I would say I like started, and then uh, yeah, I get to college and I learned what the Adobe Suite is, and then someone was telling me that we get a free subscription as students, like the student body. You can just download through our web store the entire Creative Suite. So I downloaded Photoshop and just started doing simple little Photoshops, putting people's heads on
Yeah.
things and doing those stupid little Photoshop jobs, like no artwork type graphics, just the silly little Photoshops for
Uh,
memes essentially. Um, So yeah, I never really saw it becoming something that, you know, would turn into a career. Um, I always knew I wanted to work in sports. So when I went to school, right? I was studying math and stats,
Yeah.
and I originally wanted to get into sports analytics. And it's cool. I took a lot of stats classes. Still something very interesting to me. It's not like I got halfway through my stat program there and was like, "This is stupid. This was awful. This was a mistake." Um, it was still a lot of fun. I applied for a lot of internships in sports analytics as well, and baseball, especially being a data mine of, you know,
Oh yeah.
of sports leagues, and um, it was still something that I enjoyed doing, and the classes were cool. Um, but yeah, like I would work on graphics for our disc golf club, and it was fun too. Like I did a little like would go to our little meets and like tournaments and stuff and take photo. I have done a little photo in my time too. No video, no video. Um, but yeah, like I would go to events and I would do media, and it was a lot of fun. I remember, I think one time my sophomore year, um, or maybe it was my junior year, I thought I was very freshly starting out with the athletic program there
Hmm.
as a graphic design intern. But we had a tournament, and I basically ran like everything, like morning to night. It was a tournament one day, 2 rounds, and like started in the morning, like posting pre-meet graphics, like took
Yeah.
photo during, we went to Chipotle during lunch, and everyone's like talking about the round. And I'm sitting on my computer, like downloading the photos, posting graphics to our socials, and then
Cool.
go back for round two. But it was just something I always saw as a lot of fun. And I think it's cool that it turned into a career.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. In terms of like creative inspiration, how that all came to be, it's never really something I found to be like in a book.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's weird. And I feel like a lot of people, or I feel like I've heard from a lot of people that kind of opinion about creative inspiration. Like it just kind of comes out of thin air. Like there's, you can't like really learn it, I feel. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I've always been a big sports fan. I played sports growing up. I think just part of that background of knowing sports and enjoying sports kind of helps, and then or helps the creative process there, um, being creative within the industry. But
Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like you started out a lot like I was talking to Connor, and Connor was like, "Yeah, I
mhm,
didn't pick up a camera till like my maybe senior year of high school, and then but I didn't really get into it, and then I like went to college, and it was like, hey, it'd be kind of fun. I got an internship or like the internship with Rhode Island just because he had the same camera that they used, and so
mhm,
yeah, it's just like one of those things where like a lot of creatives don't realize that because like it's not like a job that whenever you're growing up, people are always like, hey, you should go be a graphic designer or be a videographer for a team or a photographer for a team because it's not like, I guess, like just a usual job that people have, like a finance job or something like that. And so,
mhm,
yeah, I agree. Like, it's kind of fun just to see how I like hearing how people got into it because it's always something like random, like you just started making graphics for disc golf or just for fun. Like, it's pretty
mhm.
sweet.
It's
Um,
always interesting to me too, because I feel like a lot of graphic designers, especially I've talked to, it feels like graphic design is just like all sorts of backgrounds. Like when I worked at
oh yeah.
Illinois, my boss there said he went to college for criminal law. One of the other designers there did go to school for design, but it's
Uh,
funny seeing how far and beyond people like
yeah.
it's funny seeing how wide the scope is of people that are in the industry of kind of like college education or
Mhm.
like actual like studying graphic design, or just like it's a wide range of people that actually go to school for it and people that just kind of do it for
Yeah.
fun,
Just
like
for
how
fun.
I was. And
Yeah. That's the cool thing about creative stuff is like, you can like anybody can do it if they just like put their mind to it, I guess. And like that's like Greg. I think Greg has did not have a video degree or anything, but he's kind of interested in I think he's kind of interested in broadcasting, and then just
mm,
ended up like figuring out through like his NFL film stuff and all that kind of stuff. So like there's so many paths you can get into it. It's pretty sweet. Next question I had is kind of
mm.
like, what's the coolest thing that you've worked on, uh, either with like Illinois or the Orioles, or just like the coolest like, I guess, project, package, anything that you can think of.
I think I'll go back to college to start. I'll pull one from my college days and then one from my Orioles days, but college is the one that sticks out, and I actually kind of credit it to part of the reason I um, was able to land an internship here. And, um, I give a lot of credit because I feel like it was a big project kind of in my career. But back when I was at Illinois, my senior year, I started doing a lot of stuff for baseball, which was a lot of fun too. Like I grew up a baseball fan. I've always loved baseball, so it was cool back at Illinois getting to work specifically on baseball. Say my junior year, the first year I started out with them, I was kind of working on all different types of sports, kind of doing one-off graphics for a bunch of different things. But my senior year, I focused on two sports mainly, was baseball and women's gymnastics, and both were a lot of fun. Baseball was kind of more special to me just because again I
Yeah.
grew up a big fan. So getting to work on that season's campaign was really cool. But the thing that stands out is the year prior, so the end of my junior year, Illinois won the Big Ten, the regular season title. So going into then my senior year, would that have been the 24-25 season?
Hmm.
Going into that year, they wanted to put basically a wall wrap on the clubhouse wall, kind of dedicating, you know, or a wall dedicated to the 2024 Big Ten championship, but also some other pieces of Illinois history. So like All Americans, our retired number, Lou Boudreau, Illinois only Hall of Famer, baseball Hall of Famer to come
Oh,
out of the
wow.
University of Illinois back in like the 1930s. But we had like a part of the wall. But basically, it was just a big overarching project um, with a lot of meaning to the club and the program. It was cool. I got to go take my picture in front of it, which was fun. But it's cool seeing, like, I like working on social media stuff and I like working on the digital side of things, but getting to see your graphics kind of come to life in like in a print scene, um, it's really cool and it's very fulfilling and it's awesome. It was awesome hearing the feedback too. Like the players loved it. They
Oh,
walked in,
yeah.
they were like, "This is sick," and I'm like, "Good, sick is what I was going for." Um, but yeah, it was really cool. And I going back to when I started talking about this, um, I say I credit that project to, a little bit of the reason I'm here today because I remember talking about it in my interview. And I think that's like another piece of advice too, or like the one piece of advice I would take coming out of that is like a lot of designers I feel very much not restrict themselves, but they only really ever do work for social media. But getting to do work and getting practice and getting reps working on projects that go in different spots, different spaces, working on graphics in different sizes, things like that, just really broadening the scope of
Yeah.
where your work and where your projects could be or could go towards and where they could be displayed. I think very much helps. And I think, it was, um, I think from the Orioles end, when they interviewed me, I think they saw that I worked on print stuff as well as
Mhm.
digital stuff. And I think that's like having that kind of experience is really helpful. So
Yeah.
Illinois, that was a big project. Comes t- or when it comes to Orioles, I mean, we have some stuff in the works for next year, which I think is really cool. But in terms of stuff that's kind of finished and put out there, I still look back to the All-Star campaign. I
Yeah.
think
The
that was
All-Star
really
campaign
cool.
was sweet.
I think it ended up, turning out very well. I also like because it started in a spot that, I wasn't super sold on, and then
Mhm.
kind of threw out my idea for a look, and we decided to roll with it. And I was like,
Yeah.
but it was a cool moment in my career too, especially coming from that background of I didn't study this in school or
Mhm.
I didn't go to design school. There's always that piece of me that'll have that like imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
like
Like you're like, oh, I'm
but
not an art student, so like,
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And there's always that part where I feel like I'm trying to prove to both myself and others like I'm here for a reason. Like I have skills, I have talents, and it was cool again coming here for an internship and basically at the very beginning of my time in person here, getting to develop that and kind of just prove to myself that, you know, I can create things that, work in a professional
Yeah,
atmosphere and work for a Major League Baseball team. And, I still am developing my skills and still getting better every day. But it was cool, just kind of a benchmark to, again, show myself that like I can be here. So
for sure. Yeah. Um, I was okay. So my next question is like, kind of, what's the coolest thing that you've like not maybe worked on? And I kind of might know your answer. It might be the Chris Berman answer, but like the coolest thing that you've been able to do, uh, like with the Orioles or just with Illinois, like that's not, I guess, in the graphic design realm, just being able to be in sports.
Feel like it's got to be the Chris Berman.
Yeah.
I I'll talk about it. So that was a cool experience because I always like to like I think it's fun not only getting to work in what I specialize here, but also getting to kind of dip my toes in the water of other departments and working with marketing. So
Mhm.
the night of 2131, I think a week or two prior, um, one of our one of our marketing team members or game presentation came up to me asking me if I wanted to volunteer. Um, at the event, basically just escort VIPs. And um, the time that the day came, so the day of, I got to the stadium and a bunch of like former players are pulling to the parking lot and we're walking them down through the tunnel to the clubhouse. And I knew Chris Berman was going to be there. I didn't think
Mhm.
I'd actually get to see him, but we were walking the first group down to the clubhouse, and then we drop him off. We are walking back up to the parking lot. And I turned the corner, and he's just standing right there, and I was like, "Whoa!" And that was a cool moment too, because so my dad's a big sports fan. Like he was a
Uh,
big football guy, baseball guy, growing up, and he has a picture up in our basement back home of him when he met Chris Berman like decades ago.
yeah.
And it's kind of cool just seeing that not only that fandom has kind of trickled down from one generation to the next, being my father and then now down to me, but it's also cool seeing that s- getting to meet a figure in sports that has had that outreach to multiple generations, I think is really cool.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was awesome. I got to introduce myself, shake his hand, and talk to him for a bit, and that was a cool one. Um, yeah, I think outside my work, like that day itself,
Oh
like
yeah.
seeing it all come to life and being at the ballpark, the pregame ceremony and the pregame um, like presentation and all
Mhm.
the in-game stuff, and then the way the night ended with
Oh yeah, it was so cool. I know we were
the
like working, but like it did not feel like we were working at all that day. It felt it was so cool to like be able to relive that. I guess not
I
relive
feel,
it because we weren't there for
but
it, but
yeah, but getting to relive kind of the moment 30 years
yeah,
ago, but then getting to see new history be made, and then
exactly. Yeah.
the way the game ended with the almost no hitter to the
Uh-huh.
walk off was honestly one of the coolest baseball games, like period, I think
Yeah,
I'll
I
ever
think
go
it's one of
to.
the coolest baseball games I've ever been to for sure. But like, yeah, just in general, like it was so sick.
In terms of the rarity too, like no hitters are rare, but
Mhm.
they happen. Like how many times in history has a team been down to one out, hasn't gotten a hit the entire game, and then they
Exactly.
rattle off four straight runs
Yeah,
to
it's
win a ball
crazy.
game? Like that to me is it almost seems more rare. I'm sure there are numbers out there somewhere,
Yeah.
but I think it's more rare. I'm gonna tell myself, even if it
Yeah,
isn't more rare,
I feel like it's more rare too. I think you're right.
but yeah, outside of that, Illinois, I don't really know. A lot of my work at Illinois was remote. I didn't really get to do anything
Mhm.
hands-on. I got to work a couple games, which was cool, but it was always up in the press box. So
Yeah.
um, even when I worked for the football team, like didn't really have. I mean, like I went to some photo shoots and stuff, and get to meet players and athletes, and that part's always cool. But um, I'd say most of my work there was just behind the computer. But
Gotcha. So I got a couple more questions, like two.
mhm.
I guess what is something that people who aren't in the industry and who are just fans don't realize about like your job and or just like content in general for like MLB teams or just professional sports?
I think the obvious answer, because I think it's a running joke among the sports creatives, is people commenting on our social media telling us to sign players. We have no control
Yeah.
over that. I think that's kind of the layup answer.
Or assuming everybody's an intern. I like that.
Yeah, oh, that one's the worst. But that one is funny because like I was, so they're not wrong.
Yeah.
But um, I think, hmm, see, I've only been here for a couple months, so it's
Uh,
it's hard to come up with a non. It's hard to think of like a very, very unique answer. I think just that interaction between the fans and the social media team.
yeah.
I think the thing I didn't realize is just how much outreach or like how much the thing I'm learning, I'll put it this way. The thing I'm learning while I'm here is that there's so much more weight on how people I feel portray the team
Hmm.
just based off of the content we put out.
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of fans, and we are kind of the link. I always say social media and content team, like we're the link between the team and the fans.
Hmm.
Um, we're trying to tell a story. And as a fan growing up, I would always just see posts on social media, just they would post a score, like we'd get updates. Like I would see it as more like a news outlet, not like a
Yeah.
storytelling outlet. So I guess there's part of an answer too, is there's a lot more storytelling that goes along with being a sports content creator, I think, than I anticipated. Because it is cool getting to put out, cool graphics of
Yeah.
a big game, stats, final scores, things like that. It's cool getting to share that with the fan base, but it also is interesting to see how the content we put out kind of impacts like the way a fan base views the team, the way a fan base feels about the direction a team is going.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think the storytelling aspect where like I've now started to learn like what fans react well to, what they don't react well to. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of little nuances I would say that appear in the sports content creation department that as a fan I just don't really think you didn't think about because you're just immediately focusing on like the game at hand, or you're focusing on the strictly sports side of things, but you're not looking really under the hood there. So
I also think fans on Twitter don't realize that we see everything that they say. Like
that
it's
oh
so
that actually is a good one.
yeah. Like it's so funny just like reading through stuff and like because like sometimes we won't
Mhm,
even be like quote tweeting or commenting under any of our posts. It'll just be something random. But like we're
mhm.
all on Orioles Twitter like when we're there. So like we see just about everything that comes through about the social media team, just anybody.
Especially like from a selfish point of view, because I read through the
Yeah.
comments because I want to see if anyone says anything nice about the graphics I make.
For sure.
And it's funny going through the comments, and I think that's a good answer too because again grown up like interacting with sports accounts too. Um, I would just comment stuff and I'm like, this is just going into the void. Like, no one's gonna
Yeah.
read this. This is just going to nothing and nobody. Maybe I'll
Mhm.
get 2 likes from people I've never heard of that happen to come across my comment. But um, no, I personally read through all the comments, especially again on the graphics I post.
Yeah.
But
I mean you have to. Like you're like
mm,
who thinks it's good? Glaze me a little bit. And then okay, so last question is just like you kind of gave some advice earlier, but like
mm,
just any other advice for people trying to like to get into this graphic design specifically or just content creation, like any advice you
mm.
would give them trying to break into professional sports.
I think the one thing I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I'll go deeper into it. Like the one piece of advice I would give, and it sounds very generic, but just do work. Like whether it be for a club at school, whether you get an opportunity with a sports team at school, whether you get an opportunity with a local sports team, like no matter what you do, if you want to, it's getting at bats, it's getting reps, it's just getting practice. Like just go out and do work and do different kinds of work, I'd say. I remember, and I'm gonna share another story of my interview with the Orioles here, but I remember when I was interviewing, so Julie, our senior designer here, she was interviewing me and she had my portfolio currently like actively like pulled up, and she was like looking through it, and like we were talking about some of my pieces, and in the little like personal project section of my portfolio
Yeah.
I had made, and I completely forgot about it, but I had made a Gunnar Henderson graphic, and she had pointed it out and we talked about it, and she was like, yeah, it seemed like you already are familiar with our players, and I think that had a strong impact on her, and I like to think that it had a little bit, at least that it showed that like I had
You
done
cared
something.
and you knew
Yeah,
like
but I'd also done something like randomly. I completely
yeah.
forgot about it, but then after the interview, I'm thinking like, excuse me, after the interview, I'm like, that probably worked really well in my favor that I had an Orioles graphic made up. So whether it be personal projects, whether it be with a team, a club, whether it be for not even sports, whether it be a movie poster, whether it be and something promoting a local store or restaurant. Like, I think just being able to do that kind of work or just being able to show that you have a very diverse background in terms of the work you've done before. And I think there's so much, you know, the biggest thing is like, and people in the industry here will tell you like they don't like they'll look at resumes, but the main thing that the main impact that employers will look at too is the work you've done before, the
Mhm.
extent of the work, the quality of the work. So it's really so much about the work. So any opportunity you have to do work, I would say just
Yeah,
do
exactly.
graphics, make art.
Do some stuff for the love of the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah, for the
like
love
you're
of the
saying,
game.
like that Gunnar Henderson graphic. That was just for the love of the game. You just
Hmm.
exactly. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you doing this, RJ. This is
Yeah, thank you for having me.
awesome. Yeah. Good luck with the rest of the off season, all the signings.
All right.
Hopefully, more signings to come.
Hopefully more to come.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for watching the episode today. That was RJ Burjek again, a graphic designer for the Baltimore Orioles and a former roommate of mine and former coworker of mine. And very grateful to have him on the podcast. And I hope you guys pulled something out of this, were able to learn a couple things. Hopefully that gives you a little insight on what it's like to work in professional sports, and maybe it gave the idea to pursue graphic design. So I hope you guys tune in for the next episode where we're going to be talking to a videographer for a professional sports team, and I'm really pumped for that one. So thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.